you know, it's an absolute pleasure being here. Thank you so much for coming along, and I know this will go a long way and make a difference. Can you just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, you know, and how you sort of come to be here? And I know we're going to break this right down, but you are a survivor.
I am, yep. I am a survivor of satanic ritual abuse. I was born into a family that was involved in satanic ritual abuse, so I was in it from birth, and probably intensely for 10 years, and then my abuse continued in a different form for maybe up to about 12, 13. So yeah, I am a survivor.
If someone from the outside was to, or one of your neighbours was to look on and see Jeanette and her family, what would they see to the outside world?
Well, we lived in southwest London, and we lived in a council property area, you know, like a little council estate. So what they would see is what would have been typical of a family in the 60s, 70s and 80s that was from that area, living in that way. So no different, or no, you know, wouldn't have stood out from any other families.
So there was nothing like, you know, things daubed all over your house, and the neighbours think, oh, that lot, they're into some weird stuff.
No, we had normal neighbours. You know, my mum is an absolute master of disguise. They all are, because they're trained to be that way. So no, we would have seen as the normal family, struggling to make ends meet. Kids were probably, there were 5 of us, so, you know, probably a bit scruffy and, you know, unkept.
And Jeanette has siblings, but we're not going to involve the siblings, albeit that they were victims themselves. But that's, Jeanette's respected their views on whether they do or don't come forward. But Mum and Dad, I mean, what was Dad like?
Dad was an electrician, normal looking guy. I think he was about 5'8", black hair, blue eyes, you know, just, yep, normal looking guy. Used to go working on different building sites, wherever the sparky work was, yeah, in his normal daily life.
And Mum?
Mum was Mum, so in those days she was just home with the kids, yeah.
And so just from the outside, it was just a normal family doing normal things.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that we discussed was that you've got quite a good memory recall.
Yeah.
There's a lot of survivors of this sort of abuse have got years, because of the trauma, totally blacked out. But what makes you different is you know, the clarity of your recall. Now you sort of stated that this went on from almost from birth.
Yeah, as far back as I can remember, I was being sexually abused within the satanic ritual, you know, satanic ritual abuse cult setup.
Right.
As far back as my memory will take me, and that is quite far back, you know, toddler, if not a little bit less, but a little bit younger. So yeah, my memory, I haven't always had the memories. I spent quite a few years blocking them out in every which way I could, you know, in order to just not feel the pain and stay alive. So, but when I did decide to recover my memories and recover, then yeah, it's taken me quite some time, but I've been on this journey for probably around 25 years now, and my memory recall, as you call it, is very clear, and details are everywhere.
And you've done the most important things. You totally broke the cycle. You know, it stopped with you, and that was that. It was 100%. Not going to go on any further. Now, there's a lot of people that think that paedophiles are just men. You know, what would your answer to that be?
Absolutely not. I mean, in satanic ritual abuse, the abusers are equal measure of men and women. So there's not even a difference really. It's not even dominated by males, and there's a few women. It's literally equal measure.
And in respect to cultures and classes and religions and races, were they as diverse, or was there a specific group that looked a specific way that were involved? Who were they? Who are the Satanists, as it were?
Who are the Satanists? I mean, the Satanists that I was abused by were normal families in southwest London that were united in this cult, as I call it. I don't think religion or creed or anything like that even comes into it. So.
Right. Now, we spoke earlier and you were going about you've got memories from as young as 3 years old. What were they doing to you at the age of 3 years old?
So the abuse started in the home with my father abusing me. So that's quite vivid memories of him just being very violent and aggressive towards me vaginally, and starting to, you know, use his hands in ways of abuse, and being always very filled with rage and telling me that it's all my fault. You know, I deserve this because I've been born female and he has to do it, and all, you know. So in the home that abuse started very early on.
So we're talking sexually abused by your father.
Yeah.
So where was your mother when all this was happening?
Right there, watching. Yeah.
And
So,
did at any point she intervene?
No, never. She actually would set it up for him to do it.
Can you
So
explain?
she'd make sure there was a room vacant,
Right.
you know, so if the other kids are out of the way, she would, for example, leave me in their bedroom. That was always a very common place. And my father would come in and she'd make sure that they, you know, there was no interference, no interruptions. So she would set it up. She would often as well, within the home situation, she would call me to her and pretend to be really angry, like I'd done something wrong. It was like a little little ritual of its own, really. And she would hit me and you know, physically abuse me, and then she would send me to my father.
Right.
So for example, he would have a bath run ready, and then the drowning ritual would begin from there.
Yeah, this is something that crops up quite a bit.
Yeah.
Suffocation and drowning.
Suffocation and drowning.
So
yeah.
your mum would engineer a problem in
Yes.
which you was the cause of the problem.
Yeah.
You would then be slapped around, shouted at. Your father would run a bath.
Yeah.
And then you said the bath ritual. What can we explain that more?
So I would
Describe
then
that for
be
us.
stripped down naked. My mum would often strip me naked and then send me into him, so I was naked once I arrived into the bathroom with him, and he would pick me up, put me in the bath, make me lay down, and then this practice of putting his hand over my face and just ducking me in and out of the water like this, so it makes you feel like you're drowning.
Right.
And then after so long doing that, he would hold me under, and then somehow he always knew the moment to bring me back up.
Right.
And then once the bath ritual was done, he would take me into his bedroom and sexually abuse me.
It's a purpose, isn't it? Like it's something greater than your experience as Jeanette. That's what you're here for. But you don't have to answer this question if you don't want. But I have heard you in other interviews say, and like it just sort of sparked me then, talking about that you face the devil. Did you want to? I have heard you say that these people aren't human. You didn't really want to go there, but obviously, like Ike's sort of work and
claim that you claim to be the Son of God. Mm-hmm. Is that true?
Yes, you see, the thing is that it's quite funny, really.
People like Arizona Wilder and Sandra Feck, the psychologist in Canada, talks. She helps all these abuse survivors, and this is a common theme that she says all the time. They talk about the dark-eyed people and this sort of stuff. But you don't want to have to touch on that if you don't want to. And I know that's a massive hurdle, but there is. We are playing with other realms, aren't we? If I could just put
100%. 100%. Okay, Dal. What I will say is this, and I'm glad you asked. Actually, I'm glad you asked because
I know, Jeanette. I know a lot of this is it can be seen as discrediting to your information, but
I'm past caring.
The truth's the truth, isn't it? So
yeah, the truth's the truth. So here it is, right? We are absolutely dealing with non-human entities. In my experience, what I witnessed with my own eyes are these humans, because they're not human, changing into reptilian form. Yes, I've seen that with my own eyes. I don't care if people want to discredit me. They've been trying to discredit me since I spoke out. They've tried to discredit me all my life. So, whether it's just my family or it's the actual Satanists now that don't want me speaking out, the trolls and all the rest of it, right? Been there, I don't care anymore. Got the T-shirt. All it's done is toughen me up and make me more determined. So they don't gain anything, So, yeah.
Thanks. I really appreciate, I appreciate you having the guts to say that, because it's crazy for people. But like, people that don't believe it, like, go listen to Sandra Feck stuff. She talks about this all the time, and she's been dealing with ritual abuse survivors for decades, and it's a constant theme, isn't it?
Listen, this is why they hide underground. This is why there's so many tunnels. Okay, the reptilians, they walk amongst us. They look like they're human form. They're not. They're reptilians. I've seen them change many, many, many times, from the human form to reptilian form, and then come back to human form. The reptilian forms are very tall. The ones that I witnessed, they grow like, 9 feet tall, probably even more. I've seen the reptilian fat. I've seen it. So I've seen it to the point where it's unmistakable. Before anyone says I wasn't tripping on the drugs they gave me, because that's not the way they worked. And it's the elites. It's the elites that are the reptilians amongst us, okay? I think they function on 2D. The thing is now, the planet's ascending anyway.
That's with your, a lot of your perpetrators were these very high elite people too, isn't it? So, this is possibly more a theme with that, the high echelon of the, the satanic hierarchy than possibly what other people that have even been in satanic cults haven't experienced this sort of stuff.
Yeah, it is the elites that I witnessed as the reptilians, especially the royals. There you go, I said it.
All right, we don't need to go there anymore.
Dame tu cosita, dame tu cosita, ay, dame tu cosita, dame tu cosita, ay, dame tu cosita, dame tu cosita, ay, dame tu cosita.